plans using ChatGPT using the UBD lesson plan. Let's first take a look at the UBD lesson template and see what it's made up of. At the top of the lesson template, we have stage 1, which is the desired results. This is where you establish learning goals related to content standards. We have understandings, essential questions, student objectives. We move then into stage 2, which is assessment evidence. We have performance tasks and other evidence. This is where you're going to assess students on their learning. And then we have the learning plan, which includes learning activities and a sequence of activities to help students learn. Now, let's learn how we can use ChatGPT to address each of these sections specifically. So the first thing we're going to address is the establish clear goals with content standards. Now, this is going to differ depending on the state, country, or where you're developing the lesson plan. But what we can take from this question is what relevant goals will this lesson address? So I'm going to copy that right here and copy that text right here. I'm going to go to ChatGPT. I'm using ChatGPT 3.5, not the 4, but I do have available plugins if I wanted to use those through the ChatGPT 4, but I'm just going to use regular ChatGPT. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paste in what relevant goals will this lesson address. And for a sample lesson, I'm going to use the water cycle. And for this lesson, I'm going to use a 5th grade lesson on the water cycle. So what relevant goals will this design address? So I'm just going to modify this prompt to be, what relevant goals will this design address? I'm going to change it to, what relevant goals will the lesson for 5th grade students address? And I'm going to add based on the UBD lesson plan template. So here I'm getting a range of results, creating an understanding by design lesson plan. It's asking me, do I want to address content mastery, engagement motivation, critical thinking, communication skills, digital literacy, creative expression, assessment and feedback. So it gives me a lot of very specific areas that if I wanted to go deeper with this lesson, let's say that I want content mastery. Ensure that the lesson plan focuses on the specific learning objectives and content standards for 5th grade students. Make sure that students understand and can apply the core concepts. So what I would also add here is I would probably do a review of standards related to this content area and also maybe include that within what I'm putting into the lesson plan. So I'm just going to take this section here. We can edit that maybe a little bit later. So here I've created a new document where I have content mastery as the focus of this lesson. What you could also do here is use ChatGPT to identify potentially some standards if you have it connected to the web. And I could say, please identify the content area standards for a 5th grade lesson So what I've put into ChatGPT here is please identify the content area standards for a 5th grade lesson on the water cycle in the state of Arizona. Here it's providing actually some of the actual state standards. I could go ahead and take those. What I've added now is I've added these state standards to the lesson plan, and I may want to make these smaller. I may want to think about formatting over time, but I do want to include some of these standards, and I may want to be specific based on the lesson I'm designing. So we've essentially established a goal for a lesson, or options for goals. for this lesson. The next thing we want to address is understandings and essential question. So students will understand that what are the big ideas? It's not an objective, it's list big ideas or concepts you want them to know. What specific understandings are desired? What misunderstandings are predictable? What provocative, and under essential questions, we want to ask, what provocative questions will foster inquiry, understanding, and transfer the learning? So let's address the understandings first. Students will. So I'm going to phrase this as, what will students understand specifically after this lesson? What I've included for a prompt here in ChatGPT is, based on the previous prompt, because I have asked for the state standards for this lesson, what will students understand specifically about the water cycle after this lesson? So what it gives me is processes of the water cycle, solar energy's role, temperature and air pressure, states of water, interpreting weather data, human impact. So a bunch of bigger picture parts of the student understanding at 5th grade. I'm going to keep it simple here, but you can enter those other areas into ChatGPT and get an answer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Google Doc. I'm going to add the area understandings. And I'm going to put these items now under the understandings area. Now, it is important to understand that when you use ChatGPT and you utilize a tool like this, which is generating content for you, that you do have to go back and modify the content to make it your own. Now, that may be rephrasing some of these understandings, that may mean rewriting them specifically, and also thinking about specifically for your particular students and the activities that you're planning on having with them. So now we're back on the UBD template, and here we have essential questions. What provocative questions will foster inquiry and transfer the learning? So this is about leading questions. This is about asking students to get them to understand the big ideas that you've brought to them. It's also about addressing the heart of the discipline, and also framed to provoke and sustain the student's interest. So I'm going to take this text right here. What provocative questions will foster inquiry, understanding, and transfer the learning? I'm also going to add an area to my document here. Vital and central understandings. Going to ChatGPT. So in ChatGPT, I've placed the text, what provocative questions will foster inquiry, understanding, and transfer the learning. So here what I'm going to do is, what provocative questions about the water cycle at a 5th grade level will foster inquiry, understanding, and transfer the learning. So this is a good way to just get a start for this. Me is, provocative questions can be an excellent way to foster inquiry, understanding, and transfer about the water cycle. For 5th grade students, here are some thought-provoking questions at the 5th grade level. Why does a puddle of water disappear on a sunny day but reappear after it rains? How does the water in a lake or river ultimately end up in the clouds? What happens to water when it changes from a liquid to a gas? Why does the air feel more humid on a hot summer day compared to cool fall days? So these are some great leading questions and these are some great essential questions that can kind of foster and guide the students' learning during the lesson. So I'm going to place these understandings underneath the essential understandings area of my lesson plan template here. So just to review where we've gone so far is, we have a content mastery area, content area standards for 5th grade at a state level. We have the understandings area. We have essential understandings. So the next area we want to address with ChatGPT is student objectives. So what students will be able to know. What key knowledge and skills will students acquire as a result? What should they eventually be able to do as a result of the knowledge and skill? So the first question, what key knowledge and skills will students acquire as a result? So this is observable, measurable outcomes that you expect students to be able to know and do and demonstrate so that you can assess them. And what should they be able to do as a result of the knowledge and skill? So I'm going to actually take both of these and I'm going to see if I can combine these two questions into something that kind of gives me something more cohesive. So in the past, you may have addressed both of these questions separately and then had to put them together in terms of a central idea. What key knowledges and skills will students acquire as a result of this unit? What should they eventually be able to do as a result of the knowledge and skill? I'm going to take these two questions and modify them together. What key knowledge and skills will students acquire as a result of this unit? And what key knowledges and skills will students acquire as a result of this unit of the water cycle? And what should they eventually be able to do as a result of the knowledge and skills? So here ChatGPT is actually breaking out the areas of knowledge, skills, and also some of the end goals. So in terms of knowledge, understanding the water cycle, solar energy and temperature, states of water, weather factors. In terms of skills, observation, ability to interpret data, critical thinking, scientific inquiry, communication, problem solving, creativity, and some of the end goals. This is what students should really be able to do by combining their knowledge and skill. Explain the water cycle comprehensively, including its processes, driving forces, and consequences. Analyze and interpret what weather data to make predictions about weather conditions and changes in the cycle. Connect the water cycle to broader environmental issues. The next area we're going to address is the assessment evidence, which includes the performance task and other evidence. Okay? Through what authentic performance task will students demonstrate the desired understandings? By what criteria will performances of understandings be judged? And also of other evidence, which through what other evidence will students demonstrate achievement of the desired results? So what I'd like to do here is also combine these two as a single prompt. So the prompt that I'm going to use is, through what authentic performance task will students demonstrate the desired understandings, and by what criteria will performances of understanding or authentic performance tasks, one related to the water cycle with a water cycle journal, one with a water cycle diagram and presentation, one with the water cycle storyboard and a video project, one that has the water cycle experiment and presentation. All of these are authentic performance tasks, which really help evaluate the student's understanding of the content. And what you'll also notice here is that there are components of these assessments that have observations and descriptions, cause and effect, scientific accuracy, use of scientific technology, diagram accuracy, explanatory presentation, engagement, depth of understanding. These are also great areas for rubrics. So a lot of these performance tasks naturally lend themselves to rubric design and the ability to evaluate a student's understanding of their ability to know the content of the lesson. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this content into my lesson plan. So under performance tasks, the ability to assess the student understanding of the water cycle, I've included the water cycle diagram, the weather forecast presentation, also the criteria for judging. And these performance tasks allow students to apply their knowledge of the water cycle in a real-world context and also demonstrate their knowledge through understanding practical applications, creativity, and communication. It also helps. So let's also push on this prompt a little bit with the other evidence that might be provided. So I'm going to go back into ChatGPT here, and I'm going to ask, what other evidence of student learning can be used? So just as the template language says, it provides an entire additional list of resources that can be used during class to help assess student learning. Formative assessments, class discussions, written reflections, concept maps, peer assessment, exit tickets, analogies and metaphors, observations and note-taking, online quizzes and interactive modules, longer written assignments, assessment and problem solving, performance rubrics, and portfolios, and also include digital portfolios within that. So this is an amazing way to create an authentic performance task for students additionally in terms of those other areas that were provided. I'm going to take these as a list that I may apply. So the next area of the lesson plan we want to address, and this is stage 3, is the learning plan. So this is how you're going to align your learning activities within the lesson. This is where the unit is going, the hook to hold interest, how you're going to equip all students, rethink and revise their understanding, evaluate their work, and also tailored learning, specific and personalized to their needs. And also, how is it organized to maximize their engagement? So the way I'm going to structure this is maybe a little different in terms that this is going to be a sequence, and I'm going to use I'm going to select the where to at the bottom of this, and also consider that this is part of the learning plan. So when I go to ChatGPT, I'm going to put in the prompt, in designing a 5th grade lesson on the water cycle, I need assistance in identifying now paste the where to components and revise. So the prompt I used is, in designing a 5th grade lesson on the water cycle, I asked for assistance in identifying the where to, where the lesson is going, the hook, how I'm going to equip students, rethink and revise their understanding and evaluate their work, tailor their learning, and organize to maximize engagement. Now, these are all great ideas. They have provided me with bullet points for each one, but maybe I want to get a little more tailored. But just to summarize, in each one of these, the where to is outlining the objectives. The hook and hold is to grab the student's attention. Equipping the students is instructional methods and complex concepts and how they're broken down. Encourage critical thinking with rethink and revise their understanding, how you're going to evaluate their work, designing assessments that align with their learning objectives, and also tailoring their learning, reorganizing the students may have recognize that students may have varying levels of prior knowledge, and organize to maximize engagement, structure the lesson with clear objectives. So maybe I want to get a little bit more tailored, specifically as this is the end of the lesson plan. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT, is based on your response, please provide a typical lesson sequence for 5th grade lesson on the water cycle, utilizing all of the previous prompts. So what it's giving me here with the where to is begin by introducing the learning objectives, understanding the water cycle, its processes, share the essential questions, provide an overview of key concepts. It provides me some tangible ways to work through the where to process, which can become the sequence of activities for a specific lesson based on the lesson you're trying to provide. I think that's a great place to start. Let's go ahead and dive a little bit deeper and push this one step further and say, let's say to present a sequence of learning please provide a sequence of learning based on the previous prompts to conduct an experiment to observe evaporation and condensation. So this is where it pushes this process just a little bit further, and this is what you really need to do in order to have greater depth within the lesson. So it provides an area where it has instructions. It includes the learning objectives, how you're going to hold students with a demonstration, questions to potentially pose, how you're going to equip students to inform their learning with the materials, also how they're going to rethink and revise their understanding and how you can prepare them with prior knowledge before the lesson, and the overview of an experiment of evaporation and condensation. So this is really where you're starting to dig down deeper to a particular day, 2 days, 3 days worth of classes in terms of using this lesson plan designed to inform your teaching. And performance tasks. The performance task allows students to apply their knowledge in real-world context. So here we also have additional authentic performance tasks that allow you to, in addition to the authentic performance task, we have several other forms of evidence that you can collect, such as formative assessments, class discussions, written reflections. These can be used as formative assessments or summative to help you understand more clearly your levels of students' understanding of knowledge in this lesson. We then introduced the where to framework, which helped us outline each element in terms of lesson plan sequence, in terms of where the unit is going and the sequence you're going to teach with. We outlined the learning objectives, developed a hook and interest for the lesson, learned to equip all students, rethink and revise their understanding, evaluate their work, and also develop more ideas for tailored learning. We also prompt to organize more maximized engagement with students by pushing that prompt to have a typical lesson sequence for 5th graders on this lesson. And remember, you can use this for any grade level, any level of schooling, any level of teaching in order to help frame your instruction. And with this particular prompt, we asked specific details around the sequence by where the lesson was going, with how to share the essential question, introducing particular learning objectives, how to engage them more with the hook. Very specific parts here. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you feel better equipped to using ChatGPT for lesson planning, and hope you like and subscribe and come back again for more. Welcome to Digital Futures Education. Today we're going to provide an overview for AI in education. So let's hop in. So the purpose and goals of this presentation is really to give you an overview of AI technology so that you have a base of the understanding of the AI terminology that might be used. We're also going to talk about a little bit about AI's current place in education so that we understand how it might be used, what are some of the potential opportunities, where it's going. We're also going to provide a little framework around how it can be used in your classroom. Additionally, we're going to give some additional topics and notes around using it for yourself, for your own efficiency, and also when using it with students, some things to think about. So let's keep moving through. So the first topics we're going to talk about is just basically giving some definitions. So what is AI? What is generative AI? And what is machine learning? So what exactly is AI? It's an important topic to discuss. Some people have certain ideas about what it is. Let's give a basic definition to what AI is. AI stands for artificial intelligence, of course, and it's like having a really smart computer. It's a computer program that can usually needs that it's a computer program that can do tasks that usually need human intelligence, like solving problems or learning from information. AI can help us in many ways, like recommending movies to watch or even helping doctors make diagnosis. So let's talk a little bit about what generative AI is. Now, generative AI is a special kind of AI that can be creative, ultimately. It has a computer that can make its own art, write stories, or even compose music. So it takes the initial AI to another level where it creates its own constructs of ideas out of the information it's given. It's called generative because it can generate new things on its own, like drawing pictures or making up poems, all from the information that's provided. Generative AI uses what it learns from lots of examples to create something new and interesting. So ultimately, AI is like having a smart computer, while generative AI is a creative one that can make all sorts of cool things by itself. So some of the places where we can see AI in education is in plagiarism detection, learning management systems, chatbots, automated grading systems, intelligent tutoring systems, personalized feedback. So all places that we're inputting information and we're getting very specific types of information back from the computer generated programs within the AI. Some of the places where we're going to see generative AI kind of develop on the education landscape is with personalized learning paths for students. We're going to see it involved in course design, with generative AI being part of being creative with how courses can be designed. Also with content creation, with creativity, creating art, creating something from inputs. Ultimately, virtual tutoring will adjust and adapt to the information provided and provide responses that can automate services related to specific diagnosis for what a student needs. And ultimately, interactive learning games will also be an area that will utilize generative AI to help continue to support learners after they've provided responses. It will come up with challenging responses to help keep pushing learners. So when talking about AI, it's also important to talk about machine learning and give a definition to what machine learning is. Machine learning is a type of artificial intelligence that allows computers to learn patterns from large amounts of data that's been input by looking at examples of data that it's already collected and recognize the patterns in that data. And from the patterns, it will create new specific strategies around improving processes. In summary, AI and generative AI are transforming education and automating systems and learning processes, administrative tasks, providing personalized learning experiences for students, and creating new and original content to help enhance learning experiences. However, it is important to note while all these technologies offer many benefits, they also present challenges such as data privacy, security issues, and cannot replace human interaction and empathy that are essential in the teaching and learning process. So I want to share a few links to videos that I think are important to kind of provide an overview for AI. The first one is the CEO of OpenAI, who appeared on ABC News, and he discusses some of the potential upsides and downsides of the introduction of AI into our culture. I also want to share this Wall Street Journal video on AI in China, in which they talk a lot about the benefits of the AI to measure student engagement and learning processes, but it also talks about some of the darker sides of what China is doing potentially with the data, with the parents not being involved. And finally, a video that I highly recommend is AI researcher Philippa Hardman, who appeared on TEDx. Her theories around AI and her work with AI are tremendously insightful, and I find that this is a great intro if you're really curious about where we see AI going in the future. So, under getting a better understanding of AI in education, it's a shift in the model of the experience. And Philippa says in her discussion on TEDx a lot about how this shift is moving off the stage model, which was introduced, and more to a personalized approach where students will be individually challenged with specific learning challenges because they have the challenge of inputting the information themselves and continuing to develop their own learning from a very independent, self-developed process. It encourages incredibly active and also self-directed learning. And the technology that's currently been in place with educational technology over the past years has definitely been more aligned with reinforcing old systems of teaching as opposed to supporting very specific individualized approaches to teaching. And the take is really that AI is going to encourage more of these individualized, directed approaches of teaching for individual student paths as opposed to traditional instructional practices which ask students to do a completely different type of process. The evolution of AI in education has really come of light lately because of the access of the open AI technology such as ChatGPT, and the accessibility of this technology has opened up doors for a wide range of users really, really quickly. So that's really why it's become a discussion point so quickly, but it does have a history in education in the past 60 years. So just remember, like a lot of these conversations that have been started around AI kind of evolved from just the pure fact that more people have access to it and are starting to use it. Two tools I'd like to just discuss briefly is ChatGPT and Perplexity AI. ChatGPT is a generative AI tool with responses based on prompts and questions. It has a paid version which enables plugins and extensions and already in different levels of development. The plugins and extensions enable it to scrape the web, provide and create graphics, also do advanced searches which bring in resources off the internet. And they have a wide range of available plugins that you can integrate with the paid version that bring the capability of the tool to a higher level. Perplexity AI has in its free version some of these web scraping tools built in. Now, it's always important to be sure that the resources that are being provided with any sort of prompt are good resources, that you vet them, that you take a look at them, and make sure that they are what you're looking for based on the prompt you've given. Now, it's a generative AI tool. Once again, it's based on prompts and responses, but you always need to think about engineering your prompts to kind of get the best answer, asking additional questions and pushing it a little further to kind of refine what you're looking for. So some of the sample benefits of these types of tools for educators, of course, is using prompts for lesson design, using prompts for student assessment, using prompts for presentations and content and creating outlines. But some of the downsides is that it's not always accurate. It might have some flaws, it might have some inaccurate sources related to it. It also requires citations and follow-up and tracking to make sure that the information that you're getting from it is accurate and relevant to what you plan on using it for. It also requires thoughtful prompts. So when you're thinking about asking a question, you need to think about making that question as specific to what you need, and also checking resources on whether or not the responses you're receiving and then planning to implement are not only valid, but thorough. It's not a set and leave alone type of process. It's something where you need to be thoughtful, think about your prompts, and think about how you're going to continue to push them deeper, whether it's based on the curriculum, activities you'd like to apply, specific learning objectives within the curriculum, or any type of activities you want to add to a lesson, or the framework of a lesson. I want to provide some simple starting points if you're looking to get started with AI in the classroom or in your own personal use. I've, of course, spoken a little bit about Perplexity AI and ChatGPT, ChatGPT with plugins, Canva for creating graphics, SendSteps.ai is a tool for generating presentations and content. Google Bard is Google's AI tool, which works on some of the same generative AI practices and processes as ChatGPT and Perplexity AI. But all of these tools are under continual development, so you will start to see different types of features built in within the tools. Quillbot is a writing assistant Chrome extension, I believe from the same company as Grammarly. SlidesAI.io is a presentation slide deck tool that is also a Chrome extension that integrates with Google Slides to help you create slideshows based on templates and get you started for creating a framework for presentations. Now, of course, some of the benefits of AI in education beyond just these tools is enhanced personalized learning. So being able to personalize instruction focused on very specific needs, because we have the capability of finding and asking questions and developing resources that can help support individual students, and also the data collection tools to help enhance performance over time. It also improves in student engagement and retention, in that the use of AI can be highly beneficial to help a student have an individualized learning path and really push their own learning further. And of course, efficient administrative tasks, early identification of learning difficulties based on their ability to utilize a tool and understand concepts with getting research completed, and data-driven decision-making, of course. These tools are going to collect data, provide insights related to how students are performing, how teachers are creating lessons, and whether or not where the key impacts in education are with the use of the tools, and teachers' instruction and student learning. AI definitely has a place in the future of all classrooms due to its incredible power. AI-powered curriculum development will help conceptualize ideas faster and make them deeper, also more collaboratively, as we begin to use more collaborative AI tools with other educators and integrate the data that we have around searches and features as we move forward. There's also adaptive learning platforms, so platforms will become more able to adapt to student learning needs. Intelligent tutoring systems that are going to know what types of content to provide for specific students based on how they performed so far. Virtual and augmented reality in education, where AI will be able to create multiple different types of worlds that utilize virtual reality or new opportunities to see places in the world. And of course, AI-driven assessments and grading, being able to collect data faster, look at that data, and have critical data to be able to make decisive choices. So some recommendations as we move forward: have steps to evaluate the use of AI for yourself and for your students within your classroom or within your school. Also, build AI literacy amongst fellow educators and amongst students around the proper ethics and best practices for using AI. Also, strategies for overcoming challenges. Come up with some strategies for when challenges arise with the use of AI, solutions that are effective, ethical, and appropriate. As also utilize and think about how you're going to fund the use of AI over time. It's definitely a new type of resource, and as it grows and develops, these things begin to have costs because they have tremendous benefits, and the development will continue to go deeper and deeper and deeper. So there's definitely going to be a need at some point for funding related to AI resources. So some key takeaways from this presentation: I hope that any tool that you decide to use in the classroom, be sure that it's been vetted for appropriate data privacy, and be sure that there's a data privacy and contract. Do not have students log into resources with their own credentials unless the vendor has signed a data privacy contract. Also, use your professional judgment when using these tools so that you can model ethics and proper use of these tools. If you're unsure of a tool, don't be afraid to ask someone who's used the tool before or what the right thing to do is with the use of this tool. And also, it's very important to develop and foster an understanding within your school or your classroom of the universal foundation of how AI works and what it can and can't do. Okay, this is going to help support educators and students that you're working with, that you're utilizing these tools in an effective way, but also an ethical and appropriate way. And always encourage ethical and critical thinking with these tools. These tools, yes, they seem like they do their own type of thinking, but they're only really taking the types of information that's inputted into them. So be sure that you are encouraging students and even other educators while you're working with these tools to foster ethical and critical thinking while using AI in the classroom. So thanks for checking out the video. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you. In this video, I'm going to give you a framework for your own educator use of AI. Use your best professional judgment and expertise when choosing tools to use. Be sure that the tools you use with students adhere to data privacy regulations. Educate students about the 5 big ideas of AI. These encompass machine learning, data, algorithms, ethics, and impact. Be sure to understand the different types of AI. Foster a universal understanding of what AI is, and also understand how it can be used in the classroom. Understand key vocabulary like AI, generative AI, and machine learning. Engage in continuous professional development around the topic of AI. Grasp AI's ability to enhance learning. Keep improving professional skills for both personal and classroom use. Use peer collaboration. Discuss the use of AI tools with colleagues. Make future plans. Share AI initiatives and assessment and evaluation methods. Ensure that the AI you use is safe, effective, and scalable. Ensure compliance with district and state data privacy laws. Review safety around the use of AI tools to ensure a secure learning setting. Integrate AI thoughtfully. Foster ethical and critical thinking skills with the use of AI, and include societal impact awareness. Address data privacy and biases when creating data sets. Clearly define AI technology, their purpose, and alignment with educational goals. Ensure that AI enhances, not replaces, traditional teaching methods. Be prepared to integrate AI with professional development and knowledge of the tool. Be sure to evaluate the effectiveness of AI in your classroom. Establish a clear criteria for evaluating the effectiveness of AI, and be sure to gather feedback from both educators and students to refine the implementation of AI in your classroom. Assess how AI increases engagement, learning, and performance. And finally, innovation and adaptability. There is no one-size-fits-all approach with AI. Be open to experiment and adapting your approaches. Adapt tools to fit the needs of your classroom. Be flexible in your approach. Be open to experimenting and adapt, and be sure they meet your specific needs. You can create tailored solutions. Customize AI application to enhance student learning experience based on your students' requirements. Thanks for watching the video. If you got this far, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. In this video, let's talk about 20 ways teachers can use ChatGPT or other forms of AI. At the end of the video, I'll give 20 example prompts that you can use to help support these reasons for using AI or ChatGPT in the classroom. Answering student queries. ChatGPT can handle answering student questions. ChatGPT or other AI can be used to help you identify what questions your students might ask. Grading assistance. It can help with grading assignments and can also provide a preliminary way of reviewing potential answers. Generating lesson plans. Teachers can ask ChatGPT or other AI tools to generate a lesson plan for their specific subject area. This can be started in less than 30 seconds, but also be sure to stay to the end for additional prompts to know how you can better develop these lesson plans with the use of these tools. Writing prompts and feedback. ChatGPT or other forms of AI can assist with writing prompts that you can provide students. ChatGPT and other AI tools can also be used to help provide your students feedback on their writing. Curriculum planning. ChatGPT can be used to help you plan for a specific grade level or subject area curriculum. Drafting emails. ChatGPT can help you develop drafts for emails to parents, colleagues, administrators, or really anyone else that you want to have an email draft created so that you can review it prior to sending. Differentiating content. ChatGPT can be used to help you differentiate classroom curriculum content. This will help you cater to the diverse needs that all students have. Report comment writing. ChatGPT can be used to help you develop drafts of different types of comments for providing feedback to students. Generating review questions. ChatGPT can be used to help you generate review questions for students. This can be done for almost any topic. Creating slideshows. ChatGPT can be used to help you create an outline for any grade level or curriculum topic presentation. It will provide an intuitive organization of the information. It can also assist with adding formative assessment questions so you can help support students as they view presentations. ChatGPT can give you ideas for the beginning of a story that you can provide to students that they can finish. Checking for plagiarism. ChatGPT can be used to help you identify plagiarism. ChatGPT can also be used to help provide suggestions for grammar, vocabulary, and sentence structure. Creating rubrics. You can use ChatGPT to assist in creating rubrics. ChatGPT is great for helping you develop a list of instructions on how to do something. You can add cooperative learning roles and student expectations. Generating ideas. It's great at generating new ideas for classroom projects, activities, and student exploration. Creating reading passages. ChatGPT can be used to help you create reading passages for students at specific levels of reading comprehension. Improving student writing skills. ChatGPT can improve student writing by helping to provide suggestions and feedback on the specific needs that student might have. Creating test questions. Teachers can use ChatGPT to help generate a sample group of test questions and continue to develop the idea and continue to update the questions and make them perfect for their students. ChatGPT is a great tool to help support teachers with their workflows, processes, and supporting students' needs. It's important to remember that you only get out of these tools what you put into them. So it's important to have well-developed prompts and always take things to the next level and incorporate additional details and questions that help shape the responses you get from AI tools like ChatGPT. Now, as promised, I'd like to give you some sample prompts for all of the items I just discussed. Here are some prompts for answering student queries. The prompt is, what is the Pythagorean theorem? As a follow-up, you can say, can you help describe how to use it? An example prompt for grading assistance, please provide a preliminary review on this essay on climate change. The follow-up would be, what are the main areas of improvement? Generating lesson plans. Create a lesson on photosynthesis for a 7th grade science class. The follow-up would be, can you add a hands-on activity to the lesson? Writing prompts and feedback. Generate a writing prompt for a narrative essay. The follow-up to this would be, provide feedback on the student's response to the prompt. Curriculum planning. The prompt would be, help me develop an English curriculum for a 9th grade class. The follow-up would be, what are some of the recommended texts for this curriculum? Drafting emails. The prompt would be, help me draft an email for an upcoming parent conference. The follow-up would be, can you provide additional detail about the student's recent performance? Creating assignments. The prompt would be, generate an assignment for a grade 10 history class on World War II. A follow-up for that could be, please provide a rubric for this assignment. Differentiating content. The prompt would be, how can I differentiate this lesson on fractions for students with different levels and learning abilities? The follow-up could be, could you provide additional resources for students who need extra help? Report comment writing. The prompt would be, please write a comment for a student who has shown significant improvement in math. The follow-up for this would be, can you revise this comment to include information around the student's participation in class? Generating review questions. The prompt would be, generate review questions for a chapter on genetics. The follow-up would be, can you provide the answers to these questions? Creating slideshows. The prompt would be, generate an outline for a presentation on the American Revolution. A follow-up would be, please generate some formative questions to assess students' understanding for this slideshow. The follow-up would be, please develop some formative assessment questions that I can include in this slideshow. Generating writing prompts. The prompt would be, start a story that my students can complete. The follow-up would be, can you provide a different beginning to the story? Checking for plagiarism. The prompt would be, check this essay for potential plagiarism. The follow-up would be, can you provide a summary of the original sources? Providing feedback on grammar, vocabulary, and sentence structure. The prompt would be, provide additional suggestions to improve this paragraph. The follow-up would be, can you explain how these changes improve the paragraph? Creating rubrics. The prompt would be, create a rubric for this research assignment. The follow-up would be, can you create an evaluation criteria for evaluating the sources? Developing instructions. The prompt would be, develop the instructions for a group project on environmental conservation. The follow-up would be, can you add roles and expectations for each member of each group? Can you provide roles and expectations for each group member? Generating ideas. The prompt would be, generate activities for Earth Day for my 5th grade class. The follow-up would be, can you suggest materials needed for these activities? creating reading passages. The prompt would be, create a reading passage for the topic of the water cycle. And the follow-up would be, can you create comprehension questions for this passage? Improving students' writing skills. The prompt would be, provide feedback and suggestions on this student's essay. And the follow-up would be, can you provide additional exercises to improve this student's writing skills? Creating test questions. The prompt would be, generate test questions for a unit on Shakespeare's plays. Can you provide an answer key for these questions? Now please remember, these are just examples. With any time using ChatGPT or other AI tools in which you're inputting information, it's important to understand that you need to update and ask questions and refine your questions to get the best possible answer for your use. I would definitely recommend taking each of these prompts always a little bit further with more detail and more specifics related to your own classroom and your own instruction, and also your students' needs, grade level, specific subject area curriculum. Thanks for checking out the video. Please like and subscribe if you like the